The first thing Jessie Miller noticed when the man walked into her clinic wasn't the German Shepherd limping beside him. It was the dog's eyes. They weren't blank or panicked like most injured animals. No, this dog, Rex, watched everything. Quiet, calculating, as if he knew more than he should. "Name's Tom Grayson," the man said, placing his palm on the counter. "He hasn't eaten in 4 days, not a bite, not even water yesterday." Jessie glanced at Rex. The dog stood motionless, ribs faintly visible beneath a thick coat. His breathing was shallow, but there was no whimpering, no whining. She opened the gate. "Bring him in." Inside the exam room, Rex resisted getting on the table. Jessie knelt. "It's okay, big guy," she said softly. "I just want to help." That's when Rex did something strange. He pressed his forehead against hers. 1 second, 2, then stepped onto the table himself. Tom blinked. "He doesn't usually let strangers near him." Jessie nodded but didn't reply. Her fingers gently pried open Rex's jaw. She expected abscesses, broken teeth, maybe something lodged in the back of the throat. Instead, she froze. There was a scar, thin but fresh, on the roof of Rex's mouth, just under the molars. And embedded there, a glint of metal. "What the hell?" she whispered. She grabbed her penlight. The object looked like a flattened disc, about the size of a dime, fused into the gum line. It shimmered like titanium. "Tom," she said slowly, "do you know where Rex came from?" He shook his head. "Stray. Found him outside my cabin last month. Collar was gone, paws were bleeding, but he didn't run. He just sat there like he was waiting." Jessie looked at Rex again. His eyes were locked on hers. She reached for a tweezer. Rex growled. A low, guttural warning, not fear, not aggression. It sounded protective. Okay, boy," she said, backing off. "I won't touch it." She turned to Tom. "Whatever that thing is, it's not veterinary. I need to run a scan." Tom rubbed the back of his neck. "Like a microchip?" She hesitated. "I don't think so." The clinic's X-ray machine hummed to life. Within minutes, Jessie was staring at the screen in disbelief. It wasn't just a chip. It was wired. Thread-like connections ran up into the nasal cavity, deeper, toward the brain. "Tom," she said, heart pounding. "This thing's military grade." Tom frowned. "Are you saying he's some kind of government dog?" "I'm saying this tech doesn't belong in a pet." The lights flickered, then went out completely. Jessie flinched. "That's not the storm, is it?" "No," Tom muttered. "Power grid solid here." Rex's ears shot up. He stood alert, tail stiff, gaze locked on the front lobby. Jessie's phone buzzed once. Unknown number. One text. "Do not remove the chip. We're watching." Her breath hitched. She looked at Tom. "We need to leave. Now!" He didn't argue. They barely made it to the parking lot when Jessie's back window shattered. A man in black sprinted toward them, flashlight in one hand, a pistol in the other. "Go!" Tom yelled. Jessie ducked behind the wheel, slamming the door. Rex leapt into the back seat as if on cue. Tom drove. Fast. They hit the mountain road with the man's SUV speeding behind. Headlights swerved, engine roared. Jessie turned to Rex. "What are you?" she whispered. Rex locked eyes with her through the rearview mirror. Calm, steady, like he'd done this before. Moments later, Rex growled again, but this time he lunged forward and slammed his paw on the passenger door lock. "What's he?" Jessie looked over. A second car. No lights. pulling alongside. A man leaned out the window. He raised a gun. "Down!" Tom shouted. A loud crack echoed. Glass shattered. Jesse screamed. Then Rex launched. He barreled through the broken window, mid-air, straight into the second car. It veered off the road, flipping into the trees. Tom slammed the brakes. They skidded to a stop. Jesse jumped out. "Rex!" Silence. Smoke curled from the wreckage. Then movement. Rex emerged from the trees, limping, blood on his side, but alive. He walked back to Jesse. Sat, looked up, as if saying, "I told you, I'm not just a dog." Jesse crouched, hugged him tight. Tom looked around, still gripping the steering wheel. "This just became something else," he muttered. Jesse nodded. "I need answers." And Rex, without a word, started walking. North, like he knew exactly where to go. The air was thin and cold as Tom's truck climbed the mountain road. Jesse gripped the door handle tighter every mile. Rex lay curled in the back seat, his breathing shallow, eyes flicking between the shadows outside. Jesse whispered, "We need help." Tom glanced at her. "Got anyone you trust?" "Amber Lou, bioengineer, ex-military contractor. If anyone knows what that chip is, it's her." He nodded. "Where?" "Colorado Springs. About 2 hours south if we don't get tailed again." Tom pressed the gas harder. As the forest thickened, Jesse looked at Rex. Blood crusted the fur near his ribs. She reached back with a towel. He didn't flinch, just stared at her, alert. "You're bleeding," she murmured. Rex gave a low rumble. It wasn't a growl. It was something else. A sound that felt protective. They pulled into Amber's driveway just after 3 a.m. Her house was bunker-like, concrete and steel, tucked behind layers of pine. Surveillance cameras blinked above the garage. Jesse pounded on the door. It opened in seconds. Amber stood there in sweatpants, a Glock at her side. Her eyes widened when she saw Rex. "What the hell did you bring me?" "Help me get the scanner," Jesse said. "Now!" Inside, Rex lay on a padded table, while Amber set up her laptop and slid on a pair of AR glasses. She clicked on a deep scan sensor. Lights glowed around Rex's jawline. On screen, a 3D model formed. Amber's voice dropped. "This isn't a tracker." Jesse stepped forward. "Then what is it?" Amber leaned in, eyes darting across code lines and biofeedback charts. "It's an adaptive neural recorder. Think black box for memories, but not just canine. This," she tapped a sequence, "was built to store human synaptic data. Multiple layers. Compressed." Jesse froze. "You're saying that thing has human memories? Not just stored, integrated. Whoever made this, they didn't use Rex to carry data. They used him to become part of it." Rex suddenly jerked upright, his eyes locked on Amber, his whole body tensed. "Hey!" "Whoa!" She stepped back. Rex barked. Once. Sharp. Direct. He turned to Jesse, then padded to the corner of the room. Stood guard. Jesse whispered, "He understands us." Amber looked stunned. "More than that, his brain is reading our intent, emotional signatures." Jesse's phone buzzed again. Another message. No number. "Tell Amber to back off, or she's next." Jesse showed it to her. Amber swallowed. "We're being monitored." Rex let out a soft growl. He trotted toward the far wall, sniffed once, then pawed the baseboard. Jesse knelt. A faint clicking sound. Behind the drywall, a tiny camera. Live. Amber ripped it out. "This wasn't me. Someone tagged you before you got here." Jesse turned to Tom. Your cabin? I swept it for bugs. Damn it, Amber typed furiously. If they know we're digging into the chip, they'll wipe us. We need a firewall. Right now! Suddenly, Rex barked again. This time, continuous, loud. He paced in a circle, tail rigid, then stopped, staring at Amber's tablet. The screen glitched. A video feed opened. Static, then a child's face. Pale, eyes wide, voice shaky. My name is Zoe. If you find this, I'm sorry. I tried to run. They said I'd be quiet forever. Amber covered her mouth. Jessie whispered, How is this possible? Amber replied without blinking. Because Rex remembers her. Tom muttered, Are you saying this dog holds the memories of a missing girl? Amber nodded. Not holds, is fused with them. Someone printed her neural pattern into his hippocampus. That's what the chip amplifies. Every bite he takes, every sound, triggers her trauma. Jessie sat back, shaking. No wonder he won't eat. Suddenly, every light in the house died. Total black. Amber pulled her weapon. Backup power should have kicked in. Jessie's voice trembled. They're here. Rex began barking again, agitated, spinning, pacing near the front door. Then he stopped, went deathly still, and turned toward the back. 3 seconds later, the back window shattered. A gas canister rolled across the floor, hissing. Amber grabbed her rifle. Out the garage, now! They bolted. Rex bounded beside them. Amber hit the manual release. The garage door groaned open, but halfway through, it jammed. Jessie ducked and rolled underneath. Tom followed. Amber tossed her bag and dived out just as smoke filled the house. From inside the fog, a voice shouted, You've got 10 seconds to drop the dog! Rex snarled. Jessie screamed, Get in the truck! They all piled in. Tires screamed. Tom reversed hard, smashing through the gate. A black SUV chased them, its lights flashing. Amber pulled a small device from her bag. EMP pulse. One-time use. She hit the button. Behind them, the SUV's lights died. The engine stalled. They disappeared into the dark. As they sped into the forest, Jessie turned to Rex. You saved us, again. Rex just stared ahead. Calm. Steady. Like he wasn't done yet. The road twisted like a snake through the canyon. Moonlight flickered off the rocks. Tom kept one hand on the wheel, the other resting near his holster. Rex sat upright in the back seat. Alert. Watching. His ears twitched at every sound. Amber was on her laptop, the glow casting sharp shadows across her face. Jessie's voice broke the silence. That video, that girl, Zoe, was she real? Amber didn't look up. She was. Reported missing 2 years ago in Boulder. Case went cold. Her parents were cleared. No ransom, no sightings. Tom grunted. Now she's barking through a German shepherd. Jessie shook her head. She's in pain, Tom. I felt it. Rex didn't just bark. He screamed. Amber tapped a few keys. I pulled some metadata off the chip. Dates, coordinates, blood work. She turned the laptop toward them. Jessie's breath caught. A list of names, ages, medical tags, all young. All marked terminated. Amber said softly, They were testing on kids. Looks like memory imprinting. Mapping trauma. Seeing how much a developing brain could survive. Tom clenched the wheel. Jesus! Suddenly, a loud ping echoed in the cabin. Amber frowned. Satellite ping. Something just reconnected to Rex's chip. Rex stood instantly. A low growl vibrated from his throat. His eyes locked on Jessie, as if warning her. Tom swerved the truck off the road, killed the engine. Amber pulled a jamming device from her bag and activated it. That'll block any active signals, but not for long. Rex jumped from the truck, ran a few yards, and started barking furiously. Not random, direct, urgent. Jessie followed. "What is it, boy?" He led her to a shallow ditch, half covered by brush. She reached down and found something buried. Cold, metal, sharp-edged. A box. She yanked it out. It was a small black safe with a keypad. Scratched, burned, but intact. Amber knelt beside her. "This isn't military grade. It's biotech. Whoever made this had access to deep R&D. Rex barked once more. Jessie looked at him. "Is this yours?" He whined, then sat, eyes fixed on the box. Tom pulled out a knife. "We're not cracking it without tools." Amber shook her head. "No time. We need a lab." Jessie stood. "Then we go back to where this started." Tom raised an eyebrow. "You mean—" "My old research facility. Denver." Tom looked uneasy. "You think they'll just let you waltz in?" Amber snapped. "She doesn't have to. I will." Jessie nodded. "I used to work there. Biotrace Labs. They built the neural mesh prototype. I worked on the behavioral AI division, but the program was shut down, or so they said." Tom started the truck. "Then buckle up. We've got a few hours before they find us again." They drove through the night, a sense of urgency thick in the air. Rex never lay down, not once. When they reached Denver's outskirts, the sun was bleeding over the horizon, a tired kind of gold. The lab rose in the distance, a cold glass and steel monolith. Amber typed rapidly into her tablet. "Security's tighter than I thought. Facial scans, biometric gates, 24/7 watch." Jessie said, "Then we go through the tunnels. I know an old maintenance route under the west wing." They parked behind an abandoned lot, climbed down a broken sewer access shaft. The tunnel was tight, musty, and dark. Tom whispered, "This feel like old times to anyone else?" Amber snorted. "Yeah, except this time we brought a dog who might be part human." Rex led the way without hesitation. Down the tunnels, around bends, through damp concrete corridors. They emerged beneath the west wing. Jessie reached into the vent panel and pressed a small latch. A panel slid open. In. Inside, the lab was quiet. Too quiet. Jessie's badge still worked. She led them to a restricted vault in sub-level 2. This is where they ran simulations, memory transfer experiments. Amber hooked up the safe to the lab's decryption system. It blinked. "Processing." 10 seconds. 15. Then, access granted. The screen lit up with data logs. Amber's eyes went wide. These aren't just memories. These are entire personalities, layered, merged, human minds embedded into neural architecture. Rex, he's a living mosaic. Jessie leaned over. "And Zoe?" Amber opened a file labeled Z117, Primary Host Transfer. It was her. Voice logs, medical scans, psychological stress tests. The final entry read, "Host destabilizing, behavior erratic. Recommendation, terminate." Jessie stared at the screen. They were going to erase her. Suddenly, alarms blared through the building. Tom yelled, "We've been made!" Rex snarled. He lunged toward the door. Security boots echoed in the hall. Amber grabbed the safe. "We've got the data. Let's move!" They bolted for the tunnels. Rex led, sharp and focused. Behind them, guards shouted. A shot rang out. Rex spun mid-run, jumped between Jessie and the guard, took the bullet in his side. Jessie screamed, "Rex!" He yelped, stumbled, but didn't stop. He limped, but kept pushing, ushering them forward. They made it back to the truck, peeled off just as more vehicles pulled into the lot. Inside, Jessie pressed her hands against Rex's wound. "Stay with me, please." Amber looked back. "He took that for you." Tom drove faster. Jessie whispered through tears. "No, he took that for her. For Zoe." Rex let out one breath, then closed his eyes. Jessie paced the motel room, her hands shaking. The sterile smell of antiseptic still clung to her from the emergency supplies they'd picked up. Rex lay on the bed, panting lightly. His wound was wrapped tight. He hadn't moved much. Amber stared at the laptop screen, jaw tight. They knew we'd be there. They were tracking the chip. Tom sat near the window, gun on his lap. Someone inside BioTrace tipped them off. Jessie crouched beside Rex. "He needs real medical help. He took a bullet for me, Amber." "No," Amber said, tapping fast. "He took a bullet for the girl inside him. For Zoe." Jessie blinked back tears. "I don't care who he did it for. He saved us." Rex's ears twitched at her voice. Slowly, he lifted his head. His eyes met hers, steady, strong. Then his tail thumped once against the bed. "He's not done yet," Tom muttered. Amber's screen beeped. "Got something. Buried file fragments, transcripts, private memos." Jessie stood. "What kind of memos?" Amber scrolled, reading aloud. "Subject Z117 shows cognitive integration, host identity surfacing, risk of emotional instability." Another. "Recommend immediate extraction and data consolidation into next phase prototype." "Next phase?" Tom asked. "There's more?" Amber clicked again. It wasn't just about storing memories. They were using children's trauma to teach artificial empathy. Jessie's stomach turned. "You mean, Rex isn't just carrying Zoe's mind. He was designed to feel her pain." They thought the deeper the pain, the richer the emotional mapping. Amber said bitterly. The program was called Lambda, emotion-based tactical AI, but they needed organic vessels. "Children," Tom said. "They used children." A beat of silence. Then Rex growled low. Amber's eyes narrowed. "Someone just pinged the signal again. A ghost signal. Weak, but it's moving." Jessie looked at her. "Moving where?" Amber pointed at the map. "Here. Fort Banner. Military facility. Used to be shut down. It's hot now. Active." Tom leaned forward. "That's 3 hours north." Jessie asked, "Why would they go there?" Amber answered, "Because that's where Lambda started." They moved fast, packed what they had, left the motel in silence. As they sped through the back roads, Jessie glanced at Rex in the back seat. He watched the fields rush by, his breathing slow, but his gaze focused. She whispered, "You knew, didn't you, that they'd never stop?" Rex didn't move. Fort Banner loomed on the horizon, steel fences, satellite towers, motion sensors. But most gates were rusted, a shadow of what it used to be. They ditched the truck and went in on foot. Amber led them through an old drainage channel. Rex walked beside Jessie, limping slightly, but steady. Inside, the base was cold. Lights flickered. A hum buzzed from deep underground. Amber cracked an old server terminal. "This place still breathes," she muttered. "Give me a second." Tom kept watch, gun ready. Jessie turned as Rex suddenly barked. Short, sharp. One bark. Footsteps echoed down the corridor. They ducked behind crates. A flashlight swept past. A man in military uniform stepped in. Mid-40s, stern face, scar down his cheek. He scanned the room. I know someone's here. No one moved. I know the dog, too, the man said calmly. Rex, isn't it? Rex growled. The man smiled. Did they tell you what he was? What you are? Amber whispered. Who is that? Jesse's face froze. Dr. Leonard Keene, head of the original Lambda division. Tom raised his gun. Then he's the bastard who started it. Keene looked straight toward their hiding spot. I don't want violence. I just want the safe you stole from Denver. And the dog. Amber stood slowly. Not gonna happen. Keene didn't flinch. You're outnumbered. You've got no idea what's coming. Rex stepped forward, placing himself between Keene and Jesse. Keene looked at him like an old possession. You're not loyal, Rex. You're programmed. You're property. Jesse spoke. He's more human than you ever were. Keene smiled. You think you've saved a child, but all you've done is awaken the storm. Zoe wasn't the only one we put into those dogs. Suddenly, a door behind him creaked open. Another dog stepped out. Same breed, same stare. Except this one didn't look at Keene. It looked at Rex. Then it growled. Keene stepped back. That's Delta 9. Alpha imprint, stronger mind, no sentiment. The two German shepherds stared at each other. Then Rex barked once. Delta 9 barked back. A long, low sound. Not hostile. Like memory. Jesse whispered. They recognize each other. Keene's eyes widened. No. That's impossible. Delta's memories were wiped. Amber muttered. Not wiped. Buried. Tom stepped forward. You've lost control, Keene. The older man's hand went to his sidearm. Too late. Delta lunged, straight at Keene. A flurry of fur, fangs, and blood. Tom grabbed Jesse and pulled her back. Amber yanked the server drive. Rex didn't move. He just watched. When the fight ended, Keene was on the ground, moaning. Delta stood over him, breathing hard. Confused. Then it looked at Rex. Then at Jesse. And slowly sat down. Amber exhaled. The project is breaking itself. Jesse walked over and knelt beside Delta. He didn't flinch. She whispered, What did they do to you? Delta whimpered, then looked at Rex, and thumped his tail. Jesse looked up. He remembers. Amber nodded. We're not just fighting monsters anymore. We're freeing prisoners. Rex moved forward and pressed his head against Delta's. They sat there. Two dogs. One silent, one broken. Both survivors. Tom loaded his gun. Let's burn this place to the ground. And no one disagreed. The fire consumed Fort Banner behind them, flames roaring into the night. Jesse didn't look back. Neither did Rex. Tom drove fast, eyes fixed on the road. Amber sat beside him, her laptop clutched tight. In the back seat, Jesse gently stroked Rex's fur. He leaned into her hand. Delta lay across from them, still trembling. Two dogs. Two fractured minds. Two pieces of something cruel. Jesse spoke first. They were going to kill him. Delta. Just like they tried with Rex. Tom muttered. They'd rather destroy their mistakes than face them. Amber chimed in. I pulled everything I could. Names, logs, funding, and one name keeps coming up. Jesse turned. Whose? Amber hesitated. Congressman Henry Whitaker. Jesse frowned. The guy running the animal welfare campaign? Yeah, Amber said. Except he was the original financial backer of Project Lambda, back when he was still a private defense investor. His signature's on every classified allocation. He helped start this. Tom cursed under his breath. That explains how they've kept everything buried. He's been covering his tracks from DC. Jesse stared out the window. He's the reason Zoe died. Rex lifted his head. Amber's voice sharpened. There's a gala tomorrow night. San Diego. Whitaker's hosting it. Fundraising. Cameras. Press. Tom raised an eyebrow. So what? We crash it? Jesse looked at Rex. We expose him. No judge'll touch this. Tom warned. He'll bury it in red tape before you even open your mouth. Amber leaned forward. Not if Rex shows up. Jesse blinked. What? Amber smiled. A dog that survived an illegal military mind-mapping program. A dog carrying a dead girl's memories. Imagine the footage. Imagine the public reaction. Tom grunted. You want to weaponize public outrage? No, Jesse said. We want justice. They drove through the night, slept in turns, fed the dogs, patched their wounds. By dawn, they were on the edge of the city. Amber had hacked a fake RSVP badge. Jesse wore a borrowed dress, heels she couldn't run in. Tom wore a suit, uncomfortable in it. Rex and Delta both had therapy dog vests. No one looked twice. Inside the venue, glittering chandeliers cast light on smiling liars. Champagne flowed. Speeches echoed. Jessie scanned the room. There, she whispered. Whitaker stood by the bar, surrounded by donors. His hair perfect, smile polished, no trace of the monster beneath. Amber handed Jessie a mic. You only get one shot. Jessie nodded. Rex sat at her side, alert. They moved. Halfway across the ballroom, Jessie was stopped by a woman in a navy gown. I'm sorry, Mom. Dogs aren't... Rex barked once. Everyone turned. Jessie stepped onto the low stage, gripped the mic. Voice steady. My name is Jessie Hall, and I'm here because this dog saved my life, and because Congressman Whitaker helped fund the project that murdered my sister. Gasps, flashes, murmurs. Whitaker froze. Jessie continued. This is Rex, and inside him are the memories of a girl named Zoe, a girl taken by a Black Ops experiment designed to turn trauma into data. Security approached. Tom stepped between them and Jessie. This isn't a conspiracy theory, she said. This is real, and I have proof. She gestured. Amber streamed video onto the projector. Clips from Fort Banner, Keene's face, the dogs in cages, transcripts, documents, all of it. The crowd broke into chaos. Whitaker backed away, eyes wild. Jessie walked toward him, Rex beside her. You created a weapon, she said. But what you really did was make a hero. Rex stopped 2 feet from Whitaker. He didn't growl. He didn't bark. He just stared. Whitaker trembled. Then a voice shouted, He bit me once. That dog. I saw him at a biotrace site. A man in the crowd. Older. Angry. Loud. Security turned. So did cameras. Jessie turned toward the man. You're right. He bit you. After you beat a child behind locked doors in a lab you weren't supposed to be in. Gasps again. More cameras. Reporters pushing forward. Whitaker snapped. This is slander. Jessie raised her voice. This is justice. Suddenly Whitaker shoved a table aside, bolted for the exit. Tom followed. Don't lose him! Amber pulled out her phone. Broadcasting live! Jessie ran, heels off, Rex and Delta chasing ahead. They caught Whitaker in the courtyard. He stumbled, cornered by 2 growling dogs. He raised his hands. Get them off me! Jessie stood over him. You built them to obey, but they don't obey you anymore. Police arrived. Cameras everywhere. By night's end, Whitaker was in cuffs. Biotrace's stock had crashed. And Rex? Rex stood center stage. A survivor. A symbol. A legend. Jessie sat beside him, arms around his neck. Amber whispered, He saved you again. Jessie smiled. No. This time, we saved each other. And the world finally knew the truth. Jessie held the printed documents in her trembling hands. Her living room was dark except for the flickering light of her laptop. Rex lay by her feet, eyes fixed on her face, sensing the shift in her breath. She stared at the folder Amber had decrypted, labeled Op Orion, Behavioral Splicing. Inside were medical files, experiment logs, and worse, photos. Images of Rex, of Delta, of other dogs, scars, tubes, brain scans. Zoe's name was there, right at the top of a behavioral transplant trial. Jessie whispered, "They didn't just study trauma. They implanted it. They forced memories into Rex." Her voice cracked. Rex stood and pressed his head into her lap. She let the folder drop and wrapped her arms around him. "They put Zoe in you," she said. "That's why you knew her music, her fear, her grief." The front door creaked. Jessie froze. Tom stepped inside, soaked from the rain. "We've got a problem." Amber was right behind him, pale. "Someone leaked our footage," Jessie blinked. "What?" Amber tossed her phone on the table. News alerts were exploding. "Biotrace's former contractor arrested after dog-linked military scandal. Congressman Whitaker deeply disturbed by hoax." Jessie's stomach dropped. "They're calling it fake." "Worse?" Tom said. "They say we fabricated the whole thing. Animal abuse hoax, edited footage. And they've issued a federal subpoena for us to appear in court. Tomorrow." Jessie stood up. "They're burying us in legal sludge." Amber nodded. "It gets darker. I traced a private jet registered to Whitaker's wife, landed outside of Nevada last night, near a biotrace holding site." "What's there?" Jessie asked. Amber hesitated. "Dogs, over 20, including more like Rex." The room fell silent. Tom muttered, "They're prepping a reset, cleaning the slate, burning everything." Jessie looked down at Rex. "We're not letting them touch another dog." A loud bang shattered the moment. The window exploded. Smoke poured in. Jessie hit the floor. "Down!" Rex barked, loud and furious. 3 masked men stormed in. Tom tackled the first one. Amber ducked under the table. Jessie crawled to Rex's side. A baton cracked over Tom's shoulder. He grunted, but held his ground. "Grab the dog!" one man shouted. "No!" Jessie screamed, clinging to Rex's collar. But Rex wasn't going anywhere. He lunged. Teeth found flesh. One of the attackers screamed and collapsed. Amber shoved a flash drive into her sock, eyes wild. "They're here for the data!" Tom grabbed a lamp and smashed it over the second man's head. He went down hard. The third man yanked Jessie by the hair. She kicked, fought, clawed. Rex spun and leapt, straight for the man's throat. The scream was choked off fast. Blood on the floor, smoke in the air, sirens in the distance. Jessie stood, panting. "We have to run, now!" Amber grabbed the files. "Car's still out front." They moved fast. Rex and Delta herded them toward the exit like trained shadows. Tom limped but kept pace. As they drove, Jessie looked at Rex. "They're hunting us now." Amber agreed. "And they won't stop until every dog in that program is dead." Jessie clenched her jaw. "Then we stop running." Tom turned the wheel. "What's the plan?" Jessie turned to Amber. "Get us to that biotrace site." Amber's fingers flew across the keyboard. "We'll need backup. Real backup. Someone who believes in justice more than PR." Jessie smirked. "I might know a guy." Amber raised an eyebrow. "Seriously?" Jessie's smile faded. "He owes Zoe his life." The car sped into the night. Behind them, the house burned. Evidence gone. Safety gone. But in Jessie's lap, Rex lifted his head and licked her wrist, and in his eyes was something more than instinct. It was purpose. They reached the outskirts of the desert compound just before dawn. A wall of silence stretched across the cracked landscape. No wind, no birds. Just the rumble of their stolen SUV dying to a halt behind a low ridge. Jessie stepped out first. Rex followed at her heel, alert, focused. Amber scanned the perimeter with infrared goggles. Thermal says 6 guards, 1 canine patrol, and a drone circling the main gate. Tom adjusted the scope on his rifle. We're not getting in quiet. We're not here to whisper, Jessie said. We're here to get them out. She turned to Rex. His eyes never left hers. One blink. That was his answer. They moved as a unit, sticking to the rocks until they reached the west fence. Amber pulled out a small black box. I give it 90 seconds before the power grid comes back online. Jessie took bolt cutters and clipped through the wire. Rex slipped through first. Then Delta. Amber whispered, "We're in." Inside, the facility looked like a ghost town. Low buildings, security towers, a kennel block to the north. Tom's voice cracked through the comm. I've got visual on cages. Motionless, maybe sedated. Jessie's fists clenched. Let's go. They made it 20 feet before Rex stopped cold. Ears perked, tail rigid. Jessie dropped to a crouch. What do you hear? A low growl rumbled in Rex's chest. Then chaos. Floodlights snapped on. Sirens wailed. Men poured from the shadows. Intruders! Armed! Amber screamed. It's a trap! A dart hit Delta. She yelped and staggered. Jessie turned just in time to see Tom tackled by 2 guards. Move! She shouted, dragging Amber toward the cages. But it was too late. The main gate slammed shut, gun barrels in every direction. A man stepped forward. Sharp suit, cold eyes, smug. Jessica Miles, he said. You should have stayed out of our way. Jessie spat. Director Lane, still hiding behind dogs and needles? He smirked. You're trespassing on federal property. You're torturing animals. Amber lunged, but was grabbed. Director Lane nodded. Sedate the dog. Bag the drives. Kill the rest. Rex growled louder, but before the guard could raise the tranquilizer. Rex moved. Faster than any of them could react. He launched into the air, jaws clamping around the shooter's wrist. The dart flew harmlessly into the dirt. Screams, gunshots. Jessie ducked, grabbed a pistol from the ground, and fired. 2 guards went down. Amber kicked a baton out of someone's grip and ran toward the cages. Delta stirred, half sedated, but still growling. Tom reappeared, bloodied, limping, but swinging a metal pipe. We're not done yet! Jessie pulled Rex back. Go! Go now! They ran for the kennel door. Amber slammed keys into the lock. Come on, come on! The bolt clicked. The door swung open. Rows of dogs. Thin, weak, but alive. Rex barked. A loud command. The other dogs stirred, ears perked. They recognize him, Amber whispered. Jessie nodded. He's their leader. Director Lane staggered into view. Bleeding. Furious. You have no idea what you're doing. He snarled. These dogs are national assets. They're survivors, Jessie snapped. And they're done being your experiments. Rex lunged again, this time not to attack. To lead. He barked once, short and sharp. The dogs moved as one. Out the door. Into the yard. Freedom. Tom hot-wired a transport truck nearby. Jessie helped load in the animals. Amber dumped fuel across the remaining supplies. Director Lane screamed, You'll answer for this! Jessie climbed into the cab, bleeding but unbroken. Rex sat beside her. watching the sunrise over the compound they'd just torn apart. She turned the key. The engine roared. As they sped away, the building behind them exploded in fire and smoke. Rex didn't flinch. Jessie whispered, "You remembered, didn't you? What they did to Zoe. What they tried to erase." Rex looked ahead, silent, strong, unshaken. And in that moment, Jessie knew. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The safe house was a run-down barn on the outskirts of Buckner County. Jessie parked the truck beside the collapsed silo, engine ticking as it cooled. Amber jumped down, already checking the cages. The rescued dogs were alert now. Tails wagged cautiously, ears twitching. Inside the barn, Tom lit a single bulb. The place reeked of oil and hay, but it was safe. For now. Rex walked the perimeter, scanning every shadow. He didn't bark. He didn't whine. He was working. Jessie sat against a wooden beam, bandaging her arm. Amber paced. "We bought ourselves, what, 2 hours? Maybe less before the feds start hunting." Tom looked up from his phone. News blackout. No alerts. No bolo. It's like it never happened. Jessie narrowed her eyes. Because Lane doesn't want attention. Not yet. He'll come quietly. Smart. Controlled. Amber scoffed. "And we're supposed to wait here for the noose to tighten?" "No," Jessie said. "We expose him first." Tom frowned. "We don't have proof." "Yes, we do," Amber said, pulling out a tiny data stick. "Security logs, facility blueprints, test records. This shows what he did to those dogs." Tom blinked. "And how do we get the world to listen?" "We show them something they can't deny." A knock interrupted them. Everyone froze. Then the knock came again. 3 raps. Slow, heavy. Rex stood like a statue, eyes burning toward the door. Jessie nodded. Tom raised his weapon. Amber eased the door open, and a man stumbled in, covered in blood. Jessie caught him before he collapsed. "Hey, stay with me. Who are you?" He groaned. "Name's Carter. FBI. Whistleblower." Jessie's pulse kicked. "You worked under Lane?" He nodded. "Tried to stop it. Too many redacted files. Dogs weren't the only thing." Amber looked sick. "What does that mean?" Carter pushed a crumpled file toward Jessie. "They're moving the program. Offshore. Testing on humans. The dogs were prototypes." A silence dropped like a hammer. Then Rex growled. Not at Carter. At something outside. Jessie stood. "They found us!" Spotlights pierced the barn walls. Helicopter blades thumped in the distance. A voice boomed through a megaphone. "Jessica Miles, step outside with your hands up. This is your final warning." Jessie grabbed the files and shoved them in her jacket. "No way in hell." Rex barked once. Loud, defiant. Amber whispered, "We're surrounded." "No," Tom said, pointing to a rusted trapdoor. "We've got one more move." They rushed through the barn as gunfire peppered the roof. Jessie led the way down into the storm drain tunnel, Rex at her side. Carter stumbled behind, clinging to Amber. Tom slammed the hatch closed just as tear gas seeped in above. Down in the tunnel, water rushed at their feet. It was dark, cold, claustrophobic. Jessie whispered, "Rex, lead." He moved without hesitation, nose low, guiding them through the maze. They crawled for what felt like hours before a grate opened into a parking garage. Quiet, empty. They emerged into the city like ghosts. Carter collapsed again. "He's got people. In the DOJ. The Pentagon. You can't trust anyone official." Jessie's mind reeled. "So who do we give this to?" Tom said, Go rogue. Go loud. Every channel. Force it public. Jesse nodded. Fine. Let's blow the lid off everything. Rex barked once in agreement, but then Amber's phone buzzed. Unknown number. One-word text. Run. A van screeched around the corner. Rex spun. Amber shouted, "Get down!" Bullets hit the concrete. Jesse dove over Carter. Tom fired back. Rex charged, straight for the tires. The van swerved, crashed into a pillar. Silence. Jesse dragged Carter behind a dumpster. "He's fading," Carter gasped, grabbing her sleeve. "If I die, promise me. Finish it. Show them." She nodded. "We will." Rex returned, blood on his fur, but alive. Amber stared at him. "How the hell does he know when to attack?" "He remembers," Jesse said. "And he chooses." They got Carter into the back of a stolen cab, headed for the one place they hoped was still safe, Jesse's uncle, retired Judge Benjamin Myers. But in her chest, dread grew. Because if Carter was right, this was no longer just about saving dogs. It was about stopping something far worse. The cab screeched to a halt outside a 2-story brick house hidden by oak trees. Judge Benjamin Myers's place. No cameras, no signals, just a safe zone built by someone who'd spent his life trusting no one. Jesse pounded on the door. "Uncle Ben!" The lock clicked. The old man stood there, robe half-tied, pistol in hand. "Took you long enough," he grunted, eyes falling on Rex first. "And you brought backup." Rex stared at him, then stepped inside like he owned the place. Amber helped Carter in, still bleeding and barely conscious. Inside, the judge cleared his study, piled books, wiped the whiskey glasses from the table. Jesse unloaded the files. "They're experimenting on humans, Ben. Past the dogs. The program's expanded. Carter was in it." He looked over his glasses. "You sure this isn't paranoia talking?" "Carter bled to get this to us," Amber said. Carter groaned from the couch. "It's all there. Locations, subjects, funding trails. They're calling it Project Echo. Testing on people with PTSD. Soldiers. Homeless. No one will miss them." The room went still. Ben opened the files. His face paled. "Jesus. These signatures. These are real." Jesse stepped closer. "We leak this. Full drop. Evidence, names, images." Ben shook his head. "It's not that easy. If you go public now, without protection, they'll bury you before breakfast. I'd rather die than let Lane keep going." Amber looked at Rex. He almost did. Ben sat down hard. "There's one way. We use the whistleblower protection loophole. Submit through a back channel at the DOJ tied to my judicial credentials. It buys you temporary immunity, if we're lucky." Jesse exhaled. "Then we do it." Rex barked once. Ben looked at him, smiling. "Damn dog gets it." As Ben uploaded the files, a soft ping echoed from his terminal. Amber frowned. "That's not good." Suddenly the house went dark. Jessie drew her weapon. "Generator?" "No." Ben whispered. "EMP. They're here." Floodlights blazed outside. A van. 2 SUVs. Men in black gear. No markings. Jessie yelled, "Everybody move!" Rex bolted to the door, snarling. Gas canisters smashed through the windows. Jessie shoved Carter under the desk. "Stay down!" Amber screamed. "They're breaching the back!" Ben grabbed a shotgun. "You brought hell to my porch, Jess. Let's give it back." Gunfire erupted. Glass shattered. Rex tackled the first man through the door. Jessie fired at another. "Amber! Get Carter to the panic tunnel!" Amber dragged him toward the fireplace. Ben pulled the lever. A hidden passage swung open. Jesse covered their escape, reloading fast. "Go!" Rex circled, biting, dodging stun rounds. Another man raised a weapon at Ben. Jesse saw it. "Rex!" Rex launched forward, mid-air. Too late. A shot rang out. Ben collapsed. Jesse screamed. "No!" Rex tore into the shooter's leg, forcing him back. Jesse pulled Ben behind cover. Blood soaked his robe. He gasped. "Don't stop. Finish it. Use my login. Save them." His hand dropped. Gone. Jesse blinked hard. No time to break. Not now. She grabbed the hard drive. "Rex, let's go." They sprinted to the tunnel, more gunfire behind them, but no turning back. The tunnel led under the trees to an abandoned ranger station half a mile out. Amber waited there with Carter, pale and coughing. Jesse didn't say a word, just uploaded the drive into the emergency drop Ben had pre-routed. "Encrypted and sent," she whispered. "To every major outlet, private server, and watchdog network in the country." Amber looked stunned. "It's done." Jesse stared out the window. No, it just started. Behind them, smoke rose above the tree line. Rex sat at her feet, quiet, watching, waiting, for whatever came next. The morning light broke through the smoke-stained sky. The world felt quieter, not at peace, but on the edge of it. Jesse stood outside the ranger station, staring down at her phone. Messages flooded in. Journalists, watchdogs, public defenders. The file had spread like wildfire. Carter lay on a cot inside, bruised but breathing easier. Amber handed Jesse a coffee. "It's out there. Every news outlet's running it. Whistleblower files, names, photos, the whole operation exposed." Jesse barely nodded. Her eyes stayed fixed on Rex. The German shepherd sat still, head tilted, eyes locked on the tree line. Alert. Always alert. "Hasn't moved since sunrise," Amber whispered. "It's like he's waiting for the next threat." Jesse knelt beside him, fingers gently resting on his fur. "You did good, buddy," she said. Rex licked her wrist. Quiet. Steady. An unmarked black SUV pulled up the dirt road. Jesse tensed. Amber stepped back. But the man who stepped out wasn't military, wasn't a Fed. He wore jeans, boots, and a faded T-shirt that read, "Liberty Watch." "Name's Eli Monroe," he called out. "Independent investigations. I run a team that helps whistleblowers. Looks like you just burned down a monster." Jesse didn't move. And I've got resources, legal protection, private transport, and a safe house. You three need out of the blast zone." Amber stepped forward. "Why help?" Eli nodded at Rex. "Because when I watched that dog lunge at a masked shooter on live feed last night, I saw more courage than I've seen in Congress in 20 years. Jesse cracked a smile. Carter limped out, holding on to Amber. "We done running?" Eli shook his head. "No, but now you run with backup." They packed quickly. Files, drives, ID kits. Before leaving, Jesse turned to the wall where Ben's shotgun still leaned. She picked it up, kissed her hand, and pressed it to the stock. "You kept your promise, old man." Rex stood by the truck door, waiting. Eli opened the back seat. "That seat's his. No one argues." Inside the vehicle, Carter finally spoke. "What happens to them now?" "Lane, the doctors, everyone in Project Echo." Jesse pulled out her phone. News alerts buzzed non-stop. "Suspended. Under investigation. Warrants are flying. Protests already outside the lab in Phoenix. Looks like people still give a damn." Amber smiled, teary-eyed. "They're listening." The SUV rolled down the road. Miles away, federal raids lit up the night. Helicopters hovered over bunkers. Hard drives were seized. Lane tried to flee but was caught on a private airstrip. His final words before arrest? It was just research. It never was. 2 weeks later, Jesse sat across from a TV anchor in a makeshift studio. The interview was live. "Why did you do it?" the reporter asked. "Risk everything to expose this." Jesse looked straight into the camera. "Because they experimented on the voiceless, on veterans, on animals, on people discarded by the system. If I didn't speak up, who would?" The anchor nodded. "And Rex? He's become iconic." Jesse smiled. "He's not a mascot. He's the reason we're here. He saw the truth before we did." Cut to Rex sitting beside Jesse, wearing his service vest. Calm, proud. The clip went viral. Comments poured in. "That dog is a hero. Never doubt a German shepherd. Justice has 4 legs and a bark." Later that night, the team gathered on the porch of their new safe house. Carter played fetch with Rex. Amber cooked dinner inside. Eli spoke on the phone with legal reps across the country. Jesse sat back, watching them all. A soft breeze. A new silence. Not fear. Hope. She opened her laptop and typed the final update to their shared network. "Mission complete. Project Echo exposed. Victims identified. Help is on the way." Then, beneath it, she typed, "To everyone watching, if you've ever loved a loyal dog, if you've ever been protected by something you didn't deserve, tell your story. Share it. Tag @Rex the Truth Dog." She paused, then added, "Subscribe to German Shepherd Stories, because loyalty isn't just a trait, it's a legacy." She hit send. Rex trotted up, dropped the tennis ball at her feet. Jesse picked it up, smiled. "You ready for a normal life?" Rex wagged once. "Maybe tomorrow. Tonight, they just sat together. A soldier and her dog, truth tellers, still standing."